Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Before we begin, we're going to take a few moments to collect ourselves and to relax before we engage into our discussion. What we need to do is to focus now on bringing positive energy into our lives and into the world. The energy that we project every day is the same energy that we get back. We have all seen those people that can walk into a room and they glow. People want to be around them. People feel better being in their presence. That's the energy that we need to create. And once we learn how to do this, our lives will be filled with greatness. We will attract that positive energy. And how we can do this is by changing our outlook, meeting every day with gratitude, thankfulness, optimism, and once you do this, you will see a change in yourself. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about everything positive in your life. Family, friends, a career, your faith. All of this is how you start your day. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to think about what is positive in your life. I want you to list 10 reasons why your life is amazing. You will see the change. You will be changed. You will begin to attract life's blessings. Lead with gratitude. Be thankful and think positive. Good afternoon. This is Gloria Lee. The November election is upon us, and it is extremely important that we all vote. Therefore, I am presenting to you the views of various people regarding the conduct of Donald Trump and the destruction of the American post office. It is important that you vote. The life of our country and the lives of our people are within your vote. Please consider the things that the people are saying during this broadcast. God bless and thank you for listening to our show.
To collect their pensions and their unemployment benefits. With those taxes in there, no damn politician can ever scrap my Social Security program. And now comes Donald Trump saying this.
At the end of the year, the assumption that I win, I'm going to terminate the payroll tax.
Donald Trump is now embarked on a presidential campaign in which he is promising to defund Social Security. He is now the damn politician that FDR anticipated. But in order to defund Social Security, Donald Trump is trying to defund the post office's ability to process what is sure to be an unprecedented number of mail-in ballots this year.
There's nothing wrong with getting out and voting. You get out and vote. They voted during World War I and World War II.
Joining our discussion now, Steve Schmidt, former Republican strategist and an MSNBC political analyst. Steve, could you explain to Donald Trump what the difference is between voting, going out to vote in 2020 and going out to vote in 1944 during World War II?
Well, going out to vote in 1944, Lawrence, wouldn't necessarily cost you your life like it could in the COVID epidemic, panic, epidemic, the pandemic that Donald Trump has so profoundly mismanaged. We're the epicenter of coronavirus death and suffering in all the world. 165,000 dead Americans. That number will move north of 200,000 before much longer. We have a shattered economy. Donald Trump is falling apart. I think that you saw him up there behind the podium slurring his words today, lost, confused at times. And I don't think that the president looks well, and he is being defeated politically. His Trump coalition is in retreat. His attacks are more outlandish by the day. And we have the spectacle in the United States of America of an American president who knows he's losing, trying to disrupt the free and fair election for the president of the United States that has gone on uninterrupted in this country since 1789. It's just a remarkable moment and a real threat to liberal democracy from this president. And we see also the huge suffering that will be caused by the delays in veterans getting their prescriptions delivered, people getting things that they need for their lives in the mail. It's just an appalling moment to see Donald Trump launching the type of assault he's launching on the delivery of mail in this country for the purposes of trying to advantage himself in the election by making it harder and harder to count the votes of the majority of this country of people who want him out of there because they know he's wrecking the country.
Steve, the numbers in the Fox poll about Democrats, more than 70% of Democrats likely to vote by mail, down around very low number in the 20s of Republicans. That seems like a new phenomenon to me. In your experience in presidential campaigning, was there ever a very big difference between voting by mail by parties?
Well, Republicans are sustained by their vote-by-mail programs. And so Donald Trump has gone out there. You imagine yourself as one of these Republican senators in a tight race, Susan Collins, for example. Donald Trump is undermining your campaign, and it's working in the same way that he politicized so recklessly the coronavirus pandemic, whether it's masks, whether it's hydrochloroquine. It's the same thing with regard to the mail. It's self-defeating. It's injurious. He's giving advice that makes the problem worse. And the problem right now for Donald Trump politically is he's behind. He doesn't have enough votes, and the people he's most deterring from voting by mail are the people that will vote for him. The fact of the matter is Donald Trump can slow the mail down. He can do a lot of things. But if the Democrats are organized, he can't stop people from voting. He lacks the power to stop people from voting. The only person who can stop someone from voting is you. If you are committed to going to vote, get those ballots in the first day you can get them in, your vote is going to count. So Donald Trump is doing everything he can to play games with the integrity of the system, but the integrity of the system will hold so long as people participate in it, so long as people understand what the rules are. Donald Trump is trying to sow confusion and chaos, and the mail slowdown is one of the ways he's doing it. Unfortunately, we have 1 billion prescriptions in this country that are delivered primarily to our veterans and senior citizens by the mail. So we have millions of Americans who aren't getting their prescription medicines because of this nonsense, and some of them will probably die also. And we can add them to the list of casualties because of Donald Trump's malice, incompetence, and ineptitude.
Steve Schmidt, thank you very much for joining us once again tonight. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Lawrence.
President, after 3.5 years, do you regret it all the lying you've done to the American people?
All the what?
All the lying, all the dishonesties.
That who has done?
You have done. Tens of thousands.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about the payroll tax.
Welcome to 24/7 Eyes. This is our HQ where we have all the monitors to be able to check what's going on every single cable news channel across America. We always need you to get involved. We'll give you the stories. You just react in any way you like. Number one way you can be part of us here, though, is to subscribe. Just join the button there.
To collect their pensions and their unemployment benefits. With those taxes in there, no damn politician can ever scrap my Social Security program. And now comes Donald Trump saying this.
At the end of the year, the assumption that I win, I'm going to terminate the payroll tax.
Donald Trump is now embarked on a presidential campaign in which he is promising to defund Social Security. He is now the damn politician that FDR anticipated. But in order to defund Social Security, Donald Trump is trying to defund the post office's ability to process what is sure to be an unprecedented number of mail-in ballots this year.
There's nothing wrong with getting out and voting. You get out and vote. They voted during World War I and World War II.
Joining our discussion now, Steve Schmidt, former Republican strategist and an MSNBC political analyst. Steve, could you explain to Donald Trump what the difference is between going out to vote in 2020 and going out to vote in 1944 during World War II?
Well, going out to vote in 1944, Lawrence, wouldn't necessarily cost you your life like it could in the COVID epidemic, the pandemic that Donald Trump has so profoundly mismanaged. We're the epicenter of coronavirus death and suffering in all the world. 165,000 dead Americans. That number will move north of 200,000 before much longer. We have a shattered economy. Donald Trump is falling apart. I think that you saw him up there behind the podium slurring his words today, lost, confused at times. And I don't think that the president looks well, and he is being defeated politically. His Trump coalition is in retreat. His attacks are more outlandish by the day. And we have the spectacle in the United States of America of an American president who knows he's losing, trying to disrupt the free and fair election for the president of the United States that has gone on uninterrupted in this country since 1789. It's just a remarkable moment and a real threat to liberal democracy from this president. And we see also the huge suffering that will be caused by the delays in veterans getting their prescriptions delivered, people getting things that they need for their lives in the mail. It's just an appalling moment to see Donald Trump launching the type of assault he's launching on the delivery of mail in this country for the purposes of trying to advantage himself in the election by making it harder and harder to count the votes of the majority of this country of people who want him out of there because they know he's wrecking the country.
Steve, the numbers in the Fox poll about Democrats, more than 70% of Democrats likely to vote by mail, down around a very low number in the 20s of Republicans. That seems like a new phenomenon to me. In your experience in presidential campaigning, was there ever a very big difference between voting by mail by parties?
Well, Republicans are sustained by their vote-by-mail programs. And so Donald Trump has gone out there. You imagine yourself as one of these Republican senators in a tight race, Susan Collins, for example. Donald Trump is undermining your campaign, and it's working in the same way that he politicized so recklessly the coronavirus pandemic, whether it's masks, whether it's hydrochloroquine. It's the same thing with regard to the mail. It's self-defeating. It's injurious. He's giving advice that makes the problem worse. And the problem right now for Donald Trump politically is he's behind. He doesn't have enough votes. And the people he's most deterring from voting by mail are the people that will vote for him. Now, the fact of the matter is Donald Trump can slow the mail down. He can do a lot of things. But if the Democrats are organized, he can't stop people from voting. He lacks the power to stop people from voting. The only person who can stop someone from voting is you. If you are committed to going to vote, get those ballots in the first day you can get them in, your vote is going to count. So Donald Trump is doing everything he can to play games with the integrity of the system, but the integrity of the system will hold so long as people participate in it, so long as people understand what the rules are. Donald Trump is trying to sow confusion and chaos, and the mail slowdown is one of the ways he's doing it. Unfortunately, We have 1 billion prescriptions in this country that are delivered primarily to our veterans and senior citizens by the mail. So we have millions of Americans who aren't getting their prescription medicines because of this nonsense. And some of them will probably die also. And we can add them to the list of casualties because of Donald Trump's malice, incompetence, and ineptitude.
Steve Schmidt, thank you very much for joining us once again tonight. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Lawrence.
I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Now,
Life is at its best when you get to the mountaintop. Nevertheless, at times we lose our way and land in the valley. Adversity comes and shakes us in fear. What do you do at such a time? Where do you get your strength when it's gone? Be Not Defeated in Hard Times is the book you need to overcome such fears and gain back your strength. It's cheap, $10.95 only. To purchase this book, log into touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications before it's out of stock.
a discussion of know your enemy. Your life is in the balance every day that you awake because you do not know your enemy. You spend all day thinking about how to impress people, what clothes to wear, how best to seduce a woman, how to get people to like you so you can use them, have someone call you for a date, that you do not stop and think and ask, what forces are acting in my life causing me to fail?
Congressman, along these lines, I'm going to play for you a part of a conversation I had with a friend of mine today. This was in the 3 o'clock hour Eastern time. This is retired U.S. Army General Russell Honore. I asked him from his home in quarantine in Louisiana what he made of this post office dust-up.
You know, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines around the world rely on the post office. As a veteran, I rely on the post office. My e-scripts are not showing up all the time. I had to call this morning, not here. I'm going to have to go get some medicine at the Walgreens this afternoon because e-script is not delivering on time and they use the post office. I have the option to drive to the store. What about my battle buddies who don't have that option? They have no one to take them to the store when their meds don't show up. This has to stop.
Congressman, if that doesn't break your heart needs to be fixed. Here's a guy who gave 37 years to our country. That means we owe him exactly everything. He's an old man now trying to do everything right, trying to stay alive. So what answer do you have for him? What answer do you have for everyone watching tonight who feels completely helpless that this is happening to their post office?
Well, it's good to be with you, Brian. And you said it best. I mean, I share the general's outrage, and I couldn't agree with him more. It's infuriating. It's unconscionable what is happening with respect to the Postal Service and what this president is doing to undermine the Postal Service. And it's important for us to take a step back and recognize just how unprecedented in terms of what today's developments entailed. I mean, the president openly admitting that he is sabotaging intentionally the Postal Service to prevent citizens from exercising their right to vote by mail in the middle of a pandemic. It's not just nonsensical, it is dangerous. And I do believe that Congress has a muscular role to play in ultimately ensuring that we don't let this continue. As you said, I introduced a bill back in March of this year to provide a $25 billion emergency appropriation to the Postal Service, which was consistent, by the way, with the request that we received from the Board of Governors of the Postal Service, which every member of that board has been appointed by President Trump. That request has garnered the support of many of my colleagues in the House of Representatives. As you know, it passed the House many months ago as part of the HEROES Act. Unfortunately, the Senate has refused to take any action. And, it is, as I said, unconscionable. I don't think we should assume, though, that our institutions are impervious to public opinion. And my hope is that folks will make their voices heard in the coming days in terms of describing their outrage with respect to what's happening at the Postal Service to their elected members of Congress and their respective senators. I mean, we're hearing from constituents every day, Brian, with stories so similar to the generals, veterans, folks who are disabled, people relying on the mail for medication, small businesses who rely on the U.S. mail. It just, at the end of the day, is something that I don't think we should tolerate as Americans. And I'm hopeful that Congress, as I said, will play a more muscular role in the coming days and weeks. And I do think there are a number of options available to us to ultimately prevent this president from undermining the Postal Service in the way that he is doing today.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
Senator Sanders, I mean, I cannot believe that we're even here talking about birtherism.
Well, we're not. And Anderson, we're not. This is so absurd. It's just another racist lie. It's an embarrassment to the people of our country. But what Trump is trying to do right now, among many other things, is deflect attention away from the reality facing working people in this country. He wants us to talk about all of that stupid stuff. But the reality today in America is there are many millions of people who are unemployed, people who are worried about being able to feed their kids, worried about being evicted from their homes, pay their bills, have health care. And Trump will deflect attention from that because, among other things, he has refused to sit down and negotiate with Democrats about extending the kind of benefits that we provided 4 months ago. He wasn't there. McConnell is not there. I guess Mr. Meadows now, his chief negotiator, is on vacation. But what we have got to do is extend that $600 a week supplement for workers all over this country who are unemployed. We got to continue and expand on that $1,200 check that people desperately needed. We have got to provide health care to all of our people, provide funding for cities and states and schools who are desperately in need of that funding. But Trump won't talk about that. That's not what he does. He will try to deflect attention. But this is just another racist, stupid attack from a president who must be defeated in November.
I mean, the other thing he doesn't want to talk about is COVID-19 and a pandemic which has killed more than 160,000 Americans. Who knows the actual number and the actual number of people who have actually been infected with this virus. The president hasn't attended. He attended one task force meeting since April. He tweeted out pictures of it the other week. But he's not. There is no national plan. Still we're still talking about testing. We're still talking about swabs. We're still talking about PPE and contact tracing.
Anderson, tens and tens of thousands of people have died unnecessarily because of the irresponsibility of this president, who, in fact, does not believe in science. He doesn't believe in the science of climate change. He doesn't believe in the science of epidemiology. So what we have had from day one is a president who has ignored the severity of the crisis. This is a president who has attacked and humiliated doctors and scientists who are working on our behalf. This is a president who held a rally, a political rally, indoors in Tulsa without social distancing, without masks, and people got sick. Some died as a result of that rally. This is a president who has done nothing to make sure that our doctors and nurses have the personal protective equipment that they need. Unbelievable that doctors and nurses still do not have the masks, the gloves, the gowns that they need. And we have today the highest per capita death rate in terms of COVID of any major country on the earth. And state after state, situation is getting worse. People have no idea what to do in terms of whether or not kids should go to school. Total disaster, total irresponsibility. No national plan other than to attack the CDC and doctors and scientists. Those are the issues he wants to run away from. But we are not going to allow him to run away from those issues. And by the way, let's be clear, we will never get a handle on the economic collapse unless we deal with the pandemic. So they are directly related. Right now, what we have got to do is focus on those important issues.
The other thing he's making an attack on is the U.S. Postal Service, which began a while ago, but it has taken on greater importance and resonance given, the question of mail-in voting.
Well, what this is about is not complicated. Trump may be crazy, but he's not stupid. And he looks at polling, he is behind. And I think what he and his friends believe, that if they can suppress the vote, make it harder for people to vote, they have a better chance to win the election. So, we've been talking about the Postal Service now for months and months and months, and he's been saying this and saying that. Today, you got to give him credit. He was honest. He was upfront. He's saying we want to defund. He wants to defund the Postal Service.
Yeah, let me play what he said just so viewers can hear it, and then you'll mention it. We'll talk about it because I know you tweeted about it. So let's just play what he said.
Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, in the meantime, they aren't getting there. By the way, those are just 2 items. But if they don't get those 2 items, that means you can't have universal mail-in voting because they're not equipped to have it. Now, if we don't make a deal, that means they don't get the money. That means they can't have universal mail-in voting. They just can't have it.
I don't know if you realize he was saying that out loud, but I mean, he said it out loud.
Anderson, you're asking me to comment? I don't have to comment. He just said it. What he has just told the American people, and listen, I am a proud conservative. Not everybody out there agrees with me. I got it. There are moderates. There are conservatives. Okay? I'm proud progressive. But, if you believe in America, if you believe in democracy, you do not support a president who is literally trying to destroy the Postal Service because he does not want people in the middle of a pandemic to vote. You will remember some months ago, Anderson, they had that primary in Wisconsin, and I had my reservations about that. People went to that primary. Some people got sick as a result. People are nervous about this virus. Poll workers, people who work in the polling places, are nervous about the virus. Right here in Vermont, just the other day, we had our primaries. Voter turnout was very, very high. Overwhelmingly mail-in ballots. It worked just fine. But what Trump is attempting to do, and make it clear, is to suppress the vote by destroying the Postal Service, by making it harder for people to fill out and send mail-in ballots.
Do you think that's going to work?
We'll do everything we can to make sure that it doesn't work. I've called for the resignation of the new Postmaster General, who in his own way, through regulations, is trying to sabotage the Postal Service. But clearly, it seems to me pretty obvious that if there is a decent-sized turnout in this election, Trump loses. And I think Trump understands that. And that's why he's going to do everything he can to suppress the vote, including trying to destroy the Postal Service.
Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man, or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfulfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase, "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in 2 words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. Today we will be discussing the book, What You Must Do to Win. This is an excellent read, and after you finish reading it, you will enjoy it, but you must put some of the ideas that the author talks about into practice. Reading is not enough. You must put these ideas into practice. The book, What You Must Do to Win, starts off with the question, are you not tired of being a fool? Then that question is followed by a quote from the Scarlet Letter. The quote says, "Man, for any considerable period, can wear one face to himself and another to the multitude, without finally getting bewildered as to which may be the truth." You loan Paul money, he never pays it back. You help Julia with her children, but she never remembers you during Christmas. There is more to life than looking for an opportunity to lie, cheat, and steal. Consider this: spending 20 to 40 years in prison is a waste of your life. You can do better, and you need to tell yourself that you can do better. Have some pride about yourself. Learn to think. Learn to read well and leave your foolish friends behind. Stop being afraid of life and stop avoiding the responsibility you have to yourself. Some people say if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. Why not read this book and find out how reading can change your life and bring health and wealth to you? You have nothing to lose. 2 hours out of your day will change your life drastically. Just because you started your life from a position of weakness does not mean that you have to remain weak. Take control of your life. Stop associating with men who are fools. In this book, you're going to learn how to recognize a fool, even if that fool is yourself. The only problem with being a fool is if one continues to be a fool. Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone does foolish things. That behavior is part of life. But the behavior does not have to be part of your life in continuing that behavior. When is enough enough? When are you going to face the fact that your marriage is no good because of you? When are you going to face the fact that your children are failing at life because of you? When are you going to face the fact that you need to change? You need to know when you are talking to a fool. You need to know how to recognize a fool. The word fool is not a nice term. People do not like it. The word is demeaning and makes people feel bad to be called a fool. Nevertheless, the word remains in the dictionary because it is a word that accurately describes the behavior of some people. If you do not like being a fool, or you are tired of thinking you are a fool, it is time to change. When you left high school, you never envisioned yourself spending time in jail. You never envisioned yourself as a drug courier. You never thought you would burglarize a house or sit inside of a dope house holding a shotgun just to make money. You could have avoided all of these jobs if you had learned to read. All you have to do is learn to read. Reading brings you knowledge, and knowledge brings you creative ideas and know-how. You can learn a new trade by reading. You can learn to become a mechanic by reading, a carpenter by reading, and even a plumber if you know how to read. You need to make up in your mind that you want to do something with your life, and then you need to change. You need to change your environment, and you need to change your friends. Wisdom is defined as the quality or state of being wise. Knowledge of what is true or right, coupled with just judgment as to action, discernment, or insight. How wise are you going to be today? Are you going to change? Are you going to start living your life being respectful of yourself and others? If you participate in any of the above behaviors, You are not only foolish, you are a follower. You let someone tell you that that behavior was smart. So one of the first steps of not being foolish is to change your friends. Leave all the foolish people in your life alone. There is too much pain in our communities. There are too many people living painful lives. We have too many unhappy children. We have too many unhappy seniors. There is too much anger in our community. There is too much hatred in our community. And there is too much self-loathing in our community. Something needs to be done about it. A few hours of your time can solve the problem. All you have to do is learn to read and separate yourself from evil thinking people. You must separate yourself from all the predators living around you. One thing which may be painful is that you must realize there can be evilness in your family. Once you identify evil acting people in your family, you must leave them alone. You must not eat with, sleep with, talk with, or walk with anyone who is essentially different than you. If you do, you may lose your life, or either their evilness may cause the death of your children. God is not going to defend your mind for you. It is your responsibility. With the word of God in your mouth and in your heart, you can defeat the enemy's suggestions every time. You know that you're talking to the enemy anytime you become angry at a conversation, irritated, or depressed. Here is a word from Ephesians 4:21 to 24. It says, "Since you have heard about Jesus and you have learned the truth that comes from him, throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. This is your new identity in Jesus Christ. Put forth your best effort to keep yourself in the right frame of mind. Stay in the Word and keep out of the wrong influences as an act of your will. When you become a good custodian over your thought life, you will be victorious over the negative thinking and the pain associated with that thought life. Ephesians 4:21 says God's word can defeat the enemy's suggestions, and the verse says the Spirit can renew our thoughts and our attitude. Why not try God's word and see what it can do for your life? You believe in ghosts and goblins. You believe in monsters. Why can't you believe in God? You need to make up your mind whether or not you believe there is a God. If you believe God exists, then you follow him. You need to make up in your mind what type of life you want to live and who you want living that life with you or around you. If your best friends exhibit bad behavior, you will just have to leave him or her alone. Galatians 4:13 says, it tells you, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. That is what you want to do. Ask God to strengthen you. These are the two passages in the Bible that you must take with you when you go into battle. A battle as defined as any opposition. I'm not talking about just a battle with guns. I'm talking about a battle of the mind. When you have to go to work and you're tired because you've been working 2 jobs. That is right. You will always be in a battle when you try to change your life and stop associating with bad people. You will need help when you try to extricate yourself from the affairs of others, including your family members. Put these passages to memory. They will serve you well during hard times when you despair, when you are afraid, you think God has not heard you. The world says when you are experiencing hard times, you're supposed to suffer. You are supposed to do what you have to do. In other words, prostitute your body, steal or kill for food, accept low wages, and accept abuse from your employer. Go home, eat a plate of denial, and drink a glass of hatred. You are to bemoan your life and accept your fate. Read these passages several times, especially while you are at work during your break or lunch hour. These passages will help you through the day. Your enemy does not want you to believe in Psalms 23 or Psalms 91. He wants you to believe your situation is desperate. Just remember the situation with the leopards. God has always turned the situation around. The Syrians had deserted their camp, but no one in Samaria knew it until the leopards stumbled upon the Syrian camp. Then they went and told everyone the news. Remember Isaiah 65:24? People were praying inside the wall for God to deliver them, and they had received their deliverance and they didn't know it. It took the leopards going to the enemy's camp for the Israelites to realize they had been saved. Sometimes you have to be still, quiet your spirit so you can receive directions. We live in a physical world, but our destiny is determined in the spiritual world. God has given us his word to tell us how to conduct our lives. God says we are to take his word to create a life, repeat his word to enhance our creative power. God says choose life. To do this, you must believe and you must stand up. Do not let negative people and toxic relationships keep you from realizing your dreams. You can be a better person. You must stop doing what you're doing and decide on a better life. The drinking, the smoking, the snorting coke, the lusting after someone else's boyfriend or husband, and sexing every day changes what you can realize out of life. Disrespect yourself, have sex with every man you meet, and bring people in, men especially, into your home and allow them to mistreat your children. You have given up. You do not know how to manage your life. How long are you going to go before you change? Your children will not survive if you do not change. Take a good look at your children. They will not have a future if you do not change. Are you not tired of being or seeing black boys and black men being carted off to prison for lack of knowledge and opportunity? Are you not tired of seeing black women standing on the corner prostituting? Are you not tired of envying other people, saying to yourself, I wish that were me? Stop fantasizing, stop being ashamed because you are poor and uneducated and afraid. Stand up and change your life. Change is hard, but why die expressing regret? Many of you may think your vote does not matter, that it is not important that you vote. Well, this is not true. Every vote counts. This is why the post office is being destroyed, so that there will be no absentee voting except in the president's home state of Florida. You live in this country, so you are equally responsible for the running of this country as everyone else is. Please go register and vote and fight against the destruction of the American post office, because this is the only way Republicans win, is when they cheat.
Mayor Muriel Bowser joins us. Madam Mayor, thanks for waiting as we were dealing with all of that breaking news. Andrea. But of course, the COVID news, the pandemic, which you have been on top of and trying to keep everyone here safe and protect the region as well, working with Maryland and Virginia. Yes. And also, of course, the election. I want to ask you first about Kamala Harris and the angry black woman description, the way the president has been describing her as nasty and mean and horrible. What is your take on that?
Well, Andrea, we know that women, and we've seen it, we saw it in the last election, and we see it now with Senator Harris, that are frequently attacked, unfairly attacked, and often not defended. And I'm very sad to see the President of the United States attack this very accomplished woman and calling her angry because she's tough, or calling her mean because she wants to hold him accountable for 4 years of bringing our economy down. So I think as women and all of our allies, we have to stand up and speak up against that type of racist trope that so many Black women have endured.
There's been a lot of excitement among the Black women whom I've interviewed and my friends and colleagues about what she represents. Howard University alumna, AKA the whole sisterhood. Seeing a woman of color on the ticket, and one who with her, fascinating immigrant background and heritage from India and Jamaica, but identifying herself from childhood on as a Black woman and being part of the civil rights struggle here in the district as well.
Well, absolutely, and I think I agree with so many people who I've heard to say that Black women have been the backbone of our party at every level, from volunteering to organizing, getting out the vote, and increasingly being candidates ourselves. And I think there was a real fear that we could be overlooked this go around, and I'm so proud that Joe Biden made the right choice. He picked a very accomplished woman from a major state who's run a major agency in her state, and it is a United States senator, and comes to this campaign, having run her campaign, having traveled this country, and having focused on issues that are really important to Americans. I know that Senator Harris in California was very focused on the foreclosure crisis when it hit California so hard. We need that experience in the White House because we know recovering from this pandemic, we're going to have huge impacts on housing in America. And we know that she will be a great partner to Joe Biden in bringing America back from this pandemic, and especially bringing our economy back for everybody. We know that this pandemic and the economic crisis that it has created has been unevenly impacting Americans. Black Americans are dying more than other Americans. Black businesses are being horrendously affected by this near depression. And we know Black women are disproportionately out of work because of COVID shutdowns. So now more than ever, we need diverse voices at the table to speak up for all Americans.
And regarding the pandemic, one of the big sticking points, of course, in the negotiations between the Democrats and the White House is state and local government funding to be part of this package. How important is that to you?
We completely support the Speaker's position and Senator Schumer's position that you can't have you can't consider this recovery funding if you're not supporting states and cities, because by not providing that funding, you actually will eliminate critical local services that the federal government doesn't provide, but local and state governments provide. And by no fault of our own, like the president likes to say, we have seen budgets decimated across our country because of COVID shutdowns. And only the federal government can fill those gaps. So we completely support Speaker Pelosi's position and the Senator Schumer's position in making sure that this deal includes funding for state and local governments.
And right now it looks as though there won't be a deal, and this may get caught up in the continuing resolution at the end of September, the new normal budget process. What impact would that have on your community?
We don't think that Americans can wait, and we know that we need the state and local funding. We also need to make sure that there's unemployment assistance for Americans, and we support what the Democrats have on the table because people are going to increasingly, since that pandemic unemployment has run out at the end of July, they won't know how they're going to make rent or pay for food and take care of the normal activities of life. And that is not a Democratic or Republican issue. That's affecting people in every state in Washington, D.C., all across America. And so we need the Senate to step up and not leave Americans high and dry.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
We at the ministry decided that we're going to dedicate the next 5 or 6 shows discussing the subject of voting. Voting is one of the most important activities of your life. It is when you get a chance to determine the course of your country. It is when you get a chance to tell your fellow citizens what you think. Please go register and then vote this November. Take your ballot into the city clerk's office. Do not take your ballot to the post office. The post office is being sabotaged. Post office boxes are being removed from the neighborhood and equipment to sort mail is being sold off. So take your ballot to the city clerk's office so it can be effectively counted. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great day.